Part 1: The Billionaire Who Vanished. The man who owned the city. Lagos never truly sleeps. Even at 5 a.m., the city breathed, horns blaring faintly, generators humming in the distance, security lights blinking like restless eyes. From the 40th floor of Adibeo Towers, the entire city looked small, almost obedient. Chief Adikana Adibeo stood alone by the glass wall. He was dressed impeccably, custom-made navy suit, Italian shoes, a wristwatch that could buy a house in Suralia. Yet his eyes were far away, heavy with thoughts no amount of money could silence. Behind him, the television played muted business news. Adibeo Group records another record-breaking quarter. He exhaled slowly. Behind the massive mahogany desk sat Mr. Ibrahim Lawal, his personal manager, lawyer, accountant, and confidant rolled into one. A man who knew where every kobo was buried. "Sir," Ibrahim said gently, "the board is waiting." Adikana didn't turn. "Cancel the meeting." Ibrahim froze. "Sir." "I said cancel it." After 20 years of working for Adikana, Ibrahim had learned one thing: when his boss used that tone, something irreversible was about to happen. "Is everything all right?" he asked cautiously. Adikana finally turned around. "Do you think money makes a man strong?" Ibrahim hesitated. "It makes life easier." Adikana chuckled bitterly. "My father died poor," he said. "But he gave me hunger. That hunger built everything you see." He walked to the desk and picked up a framed photo, a younger version of himself holding a small boy in his arms. "My son will not inherit comfort," he continued. "He will inherit hunger." Ibrahim's eyes widened. "Sir, what are you saying?" Adikana placed the photo down carefully. "I am leaving." The room went silent. "Leaving Nigeria?" Ibrahim asked. "No. I'm leaving this life." Ibrahim stood up abruptly. "Sir, with all due respect, this is madness." Adikana smiled. "That's what they said when I started with one truck." He removed his wristwatch slowly and placed it on the table. "These days." Then his cufflinks. His phone. His wallet. Ibrahim's hands trembled. "You want to disappear, like a ghost?" "Yes." "For how long?" Adikana paused. "Until my son becomes a man." Ibrahim sank back into his chair. "What of your wife?" Adikana's face darkened briefly. "She died believing money would protect us." Silence. "And the boy?" Ibrahim asked softly. "He must never know," Adikana said firmly. "Not even a hint. Not even a rumor." Ibrahim stood up, knelt, and bowed his head, a gesture he had never done before. "I will guard your empire as if it were my own soul." Adikana helped him up. "No," he said. "Guard it as my son's future." That evening, all official records of Adikana's daily movements stopped. To the world, he became a silent shareholder. To his son, he became just another poor man struggling to survive. They fall from comfort. Adikana welcomed them with dust, noise, and reality. The room they rented smelled of damp walls and kerosene. 5-year-old Ton stood at the doorway, holding a small nylon bag. "Daddy, where is our big house?" Adikana forced a smile. "It's on a long holiday." The first night was the hardest. Mosquitoes buzzed like mockery. A neighbor argued loudly with his wife. A generator roared outside. Ton couldn't sleep. "Daddy," he whispered, "I'm scared." Adikana pulled him close on the thin mattress. "Fear is a teacher," he said softly. "Listen to it, but never obey it." That night, Adikana cried silently for the first time in years. Not because of money, but because he knew there was no turning back. Morning came early. Adikana joined men at a roadside looking for daily jobs. "Old man, can you carry blocks?" a contractor asked mockingly. Adikona nodded. By noon, his hands blistered. His back screamed. Sweat soaked his shirt. Yet he smiled. This pain, he thought, is cheaper than a spoiled child. At night, he returned home with 3,000 Nigerian nairas. He placed it on the floor. This fed us today, he told Tond. Tond stared at the money with wonder. So this is money? Yes. And it's hard to get? Yes. Tond nodded seriously. That lesson stayed with him forever. Humiliation at the gates of power. Fate has a cruel sense of humor. Months later, Adikana got a cleaning job at a massive construction site. As he approached, his heart skipped. The logo. The colors. The name. Adibeo Group. He laughed quietly. At the gate, a young security guard barked. You, old man. Remove your slippers. Adikana obeyed. Inside, workers laughed. See cleaner. An executive walked past, snapping his fingers. Make sure you clean my office well. I don't like smelling poverty. Adikana lowered his head. But inside, he whispered. You sit in my chair, but you don't own it. One afternoon, Ton brought food. The same executive laughed loudly. Is that your son? This one will inherit broom and dustpan. Workers laughed. Ton's eyes burned. His fist clenched. But his father touched his shoulder gently. Let them laugh, Adikana whispered. They are teaching you patience. That night, Ton couldn't eat. Daddy, he asked quietly, why do people insult us? Adikana looked at him carefully. Because they think money gives value. Does it? No, Adikana replied. Character does. Ton nodded. From that day, he watched everything. How people spoke to the poor. How power changed voices. How respect followed money, not morals. He promised himself silently. I will never talk down on anyone. The birth of a different mindset. Years passed. Ton grew sharper. While other children chased football, he chased knowledge. He repaired radios. Copied textbooks by hand. Asked questions adults avoided. Teachers noticed. One said, this boy thinks like a man. At 14, he was already tutoring seniors. At 16, he fixed computers at cybercafes. He hid the money in a tin. One night, his father found it. You're saving? Adikana asked. Ton nodded. For tomorrow. Adikana smiled. My work is done, he thought. Part 2, The Weight of Poverty and the Fire of Ambition. By the time Ton turned 17, poverty had stopped being a shock. It had become a routine. He woke up every morning before the sun, fetched water from a broken tap 2 streets away, helped his father prepare akra to sell, then rushed to school with slippers tucked inside his torn backpack. Other boys wore polished shoes. Some came to school in their parents' cars. Ton walked. Always. One afternoon, during break time, a group of boys gathered around him. Cleaner's son, one of them said, laughing. I hear your father cleans offices at night. Ton said nothing. Another boy pushed him lightly. So what do you want to be when you grow up? Chief cleaner. The boys burst into laughter. Ton clenched his jaw. He remembered his father's voice. Silence is power. He picked his book and walked away. But that night, when he lay on the thin mattress beside his father, he stared at the ceiling for hours. Poverty had many voices. That night, it whispered, do something. The first hustle. At 18, Ton finished secondary school with top grades. No celebration. No party. No pictures. Just silence. University was a dream far away, money they did not have. One evening, he sat beside his father outside their room, watching the orange glow of a dying sunset. "Daddy," Ton said carefully, "I don't want to wait." Adikana turned to him. "Wait for what?" "For life to be kind." Adikana studied his son's face, the hunger, the fire. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I want to work," Ton replied. "Proper work." Adikana nodded slowly. "Then work with your head, not just your hands." The next week, Ton borrowed a broken laptop from a cybercafe owner. He stayed up nights learning repairs from free manuals and trial and error. He shocked himself. Within weeks, people started calling. "Small boy, my laptop no day on. Can you fix phone screen?" He charged more money. But he delivered excellence. By the end of 3 months, he had saved more money than his father earned in a year. Adikana watched quietly. Proud. Silent. Failure comes quickly. Success is jealous. It never comes alone, it brings failure along to test seriousness. At 21, Ton invested his savings into a small electronics shop. He rented a corner space. Bought cheap tools. Printed a banner. Tondex Tech Services. For 3 months, business was good. Then theft happened. One night, armed boys broke in. They took everything. Tools. Laptops. Money. Ton sat on the floor the next morning, staring at the empty shop. His chest burned. His hands shook. He walked home in silence. That night, he finally broke. "I failed," he told his father. Adikana looked at him calmly. "No," he said. "You paid school fees." Ton looked up. "For what?" "For wisdom." They ate quietly. No pity. No drama. Just strength. What Ton didn't know was that same night, Adikana stood outside, holding his phone. One call. Just one call to Ibrahim, and everything would be restored. But he dropped the phone. "This pain," he whispered, "will protect him tomorrow." Inside, Ibrahim Lawal was fighting battles of his own. Board members questioned decisions. Why are profits being reinvested instead of distributed? Ibrahim replied, "The owner prefers long-term growth." "Who is this owner?" one director snapped. Ibrahim smiled. "A man raising a king." Chapter 12, The Humiliation Returns. At 23, Ton took a job as a junior assistant in a logistics company. The irony. The company handled contracts for Adibeo Group. He didn't know. His supervisor, Mr. Felix, enjoyed power. "Poor boys should know their place," Felix often said loudly. One afternoon, Felix threw a file at Ton. "Redo this. You think money grows on trees?" Ton apologized calmly. Meanwhile, Adikana cleaned offices in the same building at night. Father and son passed each other unknowingly in corridors of the same empire. One night, Felix insulted Adikana openly. "Old man, hurry up. This floor must shine." Ton watched silently from afar. His chest tightened. He wanted to speak. Adikana shook his head slightly. Ton swallowed his anger. That night, he wrote in a notebook. "Never become drunk on authority." The second rise. Pain sharpened Ton. He noticed inefficiencies in the logistics company. Bad routes. Wasted fuel. Poor scheduling. He designed a system quietly. One day, he submitted it to management. They laughed. "Who are you?" Felix scoffed. "Cleaner's son." But a senior manager noticed. Within weeks, profits increased. Felix was warned. Ton was promoted. People started greeting him differently. Same face. Different tone. He noticed. He never forgot. By 27, Ton started again. This time, A small logistics startup. No noise. No pride. Slow growth. Clean records. Within 2 years, he employed 5 people. One of them was a man who once mocked his father. The man didn't recognize him. Kai, boss, the man laughed one day, I used to know one poor cleaner like this. Ton smiled thinly. Life changes, he said. At home, Adikana watched the young man he raised become disciplined, calm, and dangerous in intelligence. This, he thought, is wealth. Then one night, destiny knocked hard. Adikana collapsed while washing plates. Ton rushed him to a public hospital. Long queues. Broken fans. No urgency. Pay first, a nurse said coldly. Ton sold his phone. Then his car. He didn't hesitate. As Adikana lay weak, he smiled faintly. You've done well, he whispered. Ton cried. I'm still struggling, Daddy. Adikana replied softly. Then you're still growing. Part 3, Truth, Fire, and Legacy. Adikana did not die. The doctors were surprised. His body is weak, one said, flipping through the thin medical file, but his will is strong. For weeks, Ton slept on a wooden bench beside his father's bed. No complaints. No bitterness. Every morning, he cleaned his father's body himself. Every night, he whispered prayers. One evening, Adikana opened his eyes and stared at his son for a long time. You sold your car, he said quietly. Ton froze. How did you know? Adikana smiled faintly. A father knows. Silence filled the room. You didn't hesitate, Adikana continued. That's wealth. Ton shook his head. No. Wealth is not watching your father suffer. Adikana turned away. Inside, his heart trembled. It is time, he thought. 2 days after leaving the hospital, Adikana borrowed Ton's phone. Who are you calling? Ton asked. An old friend, Adikana replied. The call connected instantly. Sir, Ibrahim Lawal's voice came through, controlled but emotional. I have been waiting. I'm ready, Adikana said. There was a pause. The board is restless, Ibrahim added. They smell change. Adikana smiled. Let them. He hung up and returned the phone. Ton felt uneasy. Something had shifted. An invitation from the sky. A black SUV arrived 2 days later. In Ajigona. Neighbors gathered. Who died? Someone whispered. A man in a suit stepped out. Is this the residence of Mr. Adikana? He asked respectfully. Ton stepped forward. Yes. You're invited to a meeting. Meeting? Ton asked. We don't know you. Adikana walked out slowly. I do, he said calmly. The man bowed. Ton's world tilted. Inside the SUV, leather seats hugged him. He had never entered such a car before. Daddy, he whispered, what is happening? Adikana said nothing. The building was familiar. Too familiar. Adebayo Group headquarters. Ton's heart raced. Executives stood as Adikana entered. Every single one. Some faces turned pale. Others froze. Ibrahim Lawal walked forward and knelt. Welcome home, sir. Ton staggered backward. What is this nonsense? He whispered. Adikana removed his cap. Stood tall. Straight. Not like a cleaner. Like an owner. My name, he said calmly, is Chief Adikana Adebayo. Silence fell like thunder. Ton's ears rang. No, he said. No, no, no. Adikana turned to him. I am your father. And the founder of this company. Ton's knees buckled. Ibrahim caught him. Laughter rose inside his head, bitter, painful laughter. Is this a joke? He shouted. You let us suffer. Adikona didn't argue. He nodded. Yes. Executive shifted uncomfortably. Felix, the same man who insulted them, was present. His face drained of blood. I cleaned your offices, Adikona said calmly, eyes locked on Felix. You mocked my son. Felix collapsed into his chair. Ton turned away, shaking. You watched me struggle, he said. Why? Adikona replied softly. So you would never confuse comfort with character. Ton locked himself in the bathroom. He punched the wall. Cried. Shouted. After hours, he emerged. His eyes red. I hate you, he said. Adikona nodded. I know. Silence. Then Ton knelt. But I understand. Tears flowed freely now. Adikona lifted him up. My greatest investment was not money, he said. It was you. Adikona faced the board. Anyone who disrespected the poor, he said, will answer. Some were fired. Some begged. Felix knelt. Please. Adikona looked at Ton. You decide. Ton swallowed. Let him go, he said. But not poor. Felix wept. Chapter 23, The Son Who Refused the Throne. Adikona offered him a seat. Ton refused. I'll earn it. He joined openly. Started from management training. Executives whispered. But results spoke. Within 2 years, profits doubled. Ton led with humility. The legacy. Adikona stepped aside fully. At the inauguration, he spoke softly. I pretended to be poor so my son could be rich in wisdom. Applause thundered. Ton looked into the crowd. Saw cleaners. Guards. Drivers. He bowed. Part 4, Power, Forgiveness, and the Price of Wisdom. News travels fast in Lagos. By the next morning, whispers had become wildfire. Did you hear? That old cleaner. He's the owner. Office gossip turned into shock. Staff avoided eye contact with cleaners. Executive spoke softly. Security guards stood straighter. At the gate, the same guard who once backed others trembled as Adikona walked past. Sir. I didn't know. Adikona smiled gently. I did, he replied. The man broke down in tears. That moment alone taught more lessons than 1,000 seminars. A son learns the weight of power. Ton sat in his new office but felt uncomfortable. The chair was too soft. The air too cold. He remembered nights with mosquitoes and hunger. When a junior staff entered nervously, Ton stood up. The man froze. Sir, you don't have to. I know, Ton said calmly. But I want to. Word spread quickly. This new boss is different. Respect grew, not from fear, but from dignity. One evening, Adikona and Ton sat in the same boardroom where truth was revealed. Do you regret it? Ton asked. Adikona didn't answer immediately. I regret the pain, he said finally. Not the lesson. Ton nodded. I hated you, he admitted. But poverty gave me eyes. Adikona smiled. Then it worked. Power tempts even the disciplined. Contracts arrived. Bribes followed. A foreign investor offered millions quietly. Ton declined. Why? The man asked. Because I've been poor, Ton replied. I know the cost. Ibrahim watched with pride. You're becoming your father, he said. Ton shook his head. No. I'm becoming myself. Ton returned to the old neighborhood. Same room. Same smell. He renovated it, but left one wall untouched. A reminder. Neighbors stared. You've made it, someone said. Ton smiled. I survived. Adikana began visiting schools. No titles. No cameras. He told his story quietly. Students listened. Some cried. You don't need money to start, he said. You need discipline. Chapter 31, The Final Test. Adikana fell ill again. This time, age knocked. Ton sat beside him. No more lessons, Adikana whispered. Live. Ton held his hand. I will teach others. Adikana smiled and closed his eyes. Peacefully. The funeral shocked the nation. Presidents came. Billionaires bowed. The poor cried. Ton spoke once. My father was rich, but he chose poverty so I could choose wisdom. Tears flowed. Ton established scholarships, skill centers, entrepreneurship hubs. No handouts. Only tools. Earn it, he said. Years later, Ton stood by the same window his father once stood. Lagos below. He removed his watch, placed it down, and smiled.